Okay, so the fourth section is support available in school. A parent contacted me concerned that their daughter is finding the idea of going to secondary school a bit hard and a bit scary. Now I understand this, and obviously the situation we are in is not helping people feel any less anxious about things. So any big change can be scary, especially after the few months we've just experienced. All staff are very aware of the extra worry that this pandemic has and is still, and probably will continue for some time, to have on pupils and on parents. Transition is worrying enough under normal circumstances. So there are lots of people in school who are there to support any girl who's struggling or worried about something, and these are the people really. So the first point of contact would be your daughter's form tutor. Now this could be anything, could be a little worry about homework, workload. It could be anything about a friendship issue. It could be anything about just not feeling that they know what they're doing, that they just need a little bit of a kind of a little shoulder to cry on, but that's the form tutor. And that's the same for you as parents and carers. The form tutor is the first person you contact, either via email through the inquiries and just say the form tutor's name, or through a letter, or through the planner. You can just write a note in the planner, and you can just request a phone call if you want, or you can do it via letter. It's up to you. So email, planner, so written note, or requesting a phone call from the form tutor. Then we've kind of got a level system. So we've got the form tutor as the first point of call. Then we've got Miss Jones, who's the head of year 7. And she kind of gets more involved when it's more to do with behavioural issues, or maybe a friendship issue that is kind of escalating. It just needs nipping in the bud. She can also be involved in just supporting the form tutor if an issue is kind of not getting solved. That's for Miss Jones, the head of year. Then above Miss Jones, we've got Mrs. Tomlin, who's in charge of year 7 to year 9. So she's in charge of Key Stage 3. Again, more behaviour, it's more of the kind of elevated behavioural issues, but she is there to support girls if they need to. Not necessarily because they're in any trouble, just because the girls might feel comfortable talking to Mrs. Tomlin or to Miss Jones or whatever. So that's another level. Then we've got Miss Britton, who is in charge of year 7 through to year 11, with quite a focus on the behaviour aspect of things. Then we've got Mrs. Lanigan. She is the deputy head, but she's also in charge of pastoral support and is our safeguarding lead. So she will go help if there's any more serious issues. We've got Mr. Harrison from the chaplaincy team that I mentioned in an earlier video. So this is more for spiritual guidance. It is quite nice to see how many girls actually do use our chapel on a lunchtime or a break time as a place for just a little bit of quiet and a little bit of calm. Maybe something's happened at home, there might have been a loss, they might be concerned about the health of someone in their family, or an animal, or whatever it is that's causing upset, and the chaplaincy team are there to give them a bit of support. Now the main person for support is our Director of Pupil Support, who is Mrs. Richardson Dunn. I will discuss a little bit more about her in a minute. There's also any of your daughter's class teachers. Your daughter might feel comfortable talking to their English teacher about something just because they get on well with them. Just because I might teach your daughter Spanish or French, and they might have an issue with a friendship that's nothing to do with our lesson. That's absolutely fine if they feel comfortable talking to that class teacher. So there's plenty of people there for your daughter and for yourselves to contact. Concerns about bullying, which is, I imagine, a big concern for every parent when you're starting a new school. As I've mentioned, I've gone through the pastoral system there, the different levels, and it's a very strong pastoral system, and it's a pastoral system that communicates up and down the line very well. So basically, if there are any issues your daughter is concerned about, or you're concerned about, form tutor, let them know earlier rather than later. That is my recommendation. Don't leave it a few weeks, or this is more advice for the girls as well, because I know it's hard, but it is easier if you get adults involved earlier on. If there is any evidence, I'm talking social media here, it's becoming more and more of an issue. Screenshots can be very helpful as evidence to prove this bullying or this issue or this perhaps comment that is inappropriate. If that is possible, I would recommend doing that. That is something maybe to have a discussion with your child about. Any issues like that of a very serious nature, like bullying, which is persistent, not just a falling out, it's persistent, Miss Jones gets involved immediately and will investigate it thoroughly. And that will be, or Mrs. Tomlin might get involved as well. It kind of, sometimes it works its way up the levels of behaviour dependent on the issue, and it will be dealt with accordingly if a punishment is necessary. We do not tolerate bullying, or any concerns are investigated very thoroughly and looked at. Educating the pupils on bullying forms a regular part of assemblies. It forms a regular part of our CAG lessons, which is like PSHE. So that the girls know how to cope with it if it does happen. They know how to recognise the signs, and they know how to deal with it and who to go to. Because it is a tricky time, especially with teenage girls and social media the way it is now. Social media is fantastic, but sometimes it can cause issues. So I would definitely consider your daughter and monitor the girls' use of social media as they get older. A pupils contact me saying, I've heard that you get bullied for using a backpack. Is this true? Now, I would hope not. I use a backpack. But if you get a comment like this, of this nature, where it's an unkind comment about the way someone looks or the way someone dresses, report it to your form tutor immediately. Don't leave it till a week later. Don't leave it until they say it again. Nip it in the bud. I don't know why people would say that there's anything wrong with a backpack. Lots and lots of people in St Anthony's use backpacks, staff and pupils, because you are carrying everything around with you. I don't honestly see what the problem is. I mean, I remember as a young teenager myself, I can understand, but please, if there is comments like that, you shouldn't have to put up with it. That's just girls being unkind, and they will be dealt with. Okay, so anything of that nature, report it to the form tutor as soon as you can. When a pupil needs emotional support, who do they go to? As I've mentioned earlier on, form tutors are always there. The girls will see their form tutor every day. If they need a little bit of, just need to share something with them. But also, as I mentioned, we've got Mrs. Richardson Dunn, our Director of Pupil Support, who comes with years of experience in helping girls with a variety of concerns that they might have. Mrs. Richardson Dunn works in a building called The Cottage, which is near reception. It's kind of a mini version of the reception building. Some girls like to spend break times and lunch times there just for a bit of a time out. Mrs. Richardson Dunn may arrange little chats, kind of informal chats, just to keep an eye on monitoring the girls, how they're feeling, or this is where more formalised external counselling might take place. So that concludes the support available in school. And the next section is the last one, which is just a lot of questions about daily life.